I would say that's where EOS differs from other systems. It's all about driving that execution.
Do you remember your first session that you ever did?
Working in the consulting industry makes you really good at selling the value of something, communicating in a way that translates to value and gets buy-in. Being able to leverage those 17 years of all that experience has made me very good at doing EOS.
But what are some of the things that you've seen visionaries and integrators do to help improve their relationship?
There's something in EOS called the same page meeting. So it's so important that they're on the same page. We call it like when they're lock and step. There's a book called Rocket Fuel, right? Yeah. And that talks about the relationship and the symbiotic kind of like interlocking relationship between the visionary and the integrator.
You had mentioned the book. How did that come about?
I find that a lot of my clients find data overwhelming, right? They don't know what to measure. They don't know the story the data is telling them. Something needs attention in your business. And when you have way too much, you're just lost in all that noise. It's not giving you the true signals.
Welcome to The Show Goes On, a podcast about the people who keep businesses running behind the scenes. My name is Aamir Noorani, and today I'm joined by Angela Calamus. Angela Calamus is an expert EOS implementer and community coach with EOS worldwide, having facilitated 600 plus EOS sessions across industries. With 17 plus years of experience at Booz Allen Hamilton, she brings deep operational expertise to entrepreneurs. A YPO certified forum facilitator, she works with business leaders worldwide to foster growth and accountability. Co-author of the EOS Data Book, Angela is passionate about helping leaders break through ceilings and achieve their vision. All right, Angela, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So when people ask you what you do, how do you usually answer?
I usually say I'm a business coach that helps businesses scale and grow. It usually gets them excited to ask a couple more questions.
Yeah, for sure. What types of businesses do you normally work with?
I work with all kinds of businesses. EOS is industry agnostic. I have all kinds of clients, and that's part of the flavor. The variety makes it just so interesting. I work with service businesses, marketing, finance, fintech, service industries, all kinds of businesses.
Is there some type of pattern that you've noticed with the types of EOS companies that you work with? Like for sure across a number of industries, but are there a couple of types of companies that you normally see come up time and time again with EOS?
A lot of service businesses, like I have a bunch of HVAC companies or roofing companies, consulting companies, a lot of financial advisory. Is that what you're asking? Types of industries?
Yeah, just types of industries. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So what originally drew you towards EOS? Like where did that come from? How did that get onto your radar?
So my husband is a serial entrepreneur. He started his first company when he was 19 and started the company is now in his 20s. He's never worked for anyone else in his life, really.
Okay.
And he had grown his business really, really well, like, Inc. 5000, Inc. 500, just like crazy growth. But he hit a ceiling, and he happens to be a member of the YPO Philadelphia chapter. And me as a facilitator, just going to a YPO event, someone introduced me to the book Traction, a wonderful guy out of Chicago. Gave me traction and just said, hey, Angela, with your background, I think you would make an amazing implementer. And so I read the book. And at the time, my husband was really struggling, was so frustrated, burnt out in his business. He just thought he couldn't kind of break through that ceiling and take it to the next level. And he wanted to just sell. And so I gave him the book and I just said, hey, this is everything I've been doing at Booz Allen for so long. If you're open to it, let's just try it. I'll go learn how to do this so we can figure it out in your business. And I never thought I would leave my career at Booz Allen. I just figured I would take one or two clients just to make back my investment of going, to learn this. Next thing you know, the word got out. I started getting referrals from YPO and other like industry groups that we're a part of, and just kind of took off from there. I honestly never thought I was going to leave my career at Booz Allen.
That's awesome. Tell me what you were doing at Booz Allen. You were there for like 17 years. What were you working on while you were there?
So I did a lot of business development, and we would go after government, very large, like government military defense contracts. And my role would be setting up the right structure. So thinking about what types of people do we need, what resources, what vendors, what subcontractors, what tools, what systems, and like packaging all that together to make the government select us right, to give us that contract. And then once we did get selected, I would then have to build that team and put the tools and systems in place to execute on that. So that's why, like, kind of going over to EOS, it just is a natural kind of bridge to do EOS. It's really everything I was doing at Booz Allen too.
Wow. So not only were you getting the contracts, but then you're also putting the tools and systems in place to get it executed.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
So it kind of just feels very similar. Like EOS is really to strengthen, what do you need? People, processes, tools, infrastructure. Like it's really to strengthen all of that in a business. So it just made just logical sense to me.
Yeah. Do you remember your first session that you ever did? Like how you were walking in?
Oh my God, I was so nervous. It happened to be with my husband's leadership team, right?
Oh, cool. Okay.
Which made it a little bit easier in some regards and a little bit harder in others. But leveraging my experience, like I never knew what those years at Booz Allen really taught me. Mm-hmm. And it made me, once I got the confidence and once I got some sessions under my belt, like being able to leverage those 17 years of all that experience has made me very good at doing EOS. I just didn't know it in the beginning. So in the beginning, I was kind of like nervous about it, right? But over time, got much better at just being confident in it.
Yeah. I'm curious how that translated. So what were some of the experiences that you were doing at Booz Allen Hamilton that you feel like translated over to running like an EOS session?
Sure. Excellent question. I would say, like, first and foremost, like thinking about every organization, every leadership team is a system. Mm-hmm. So like every leadership team that I work with is a system, and thinking about the pieces of the system, that how do you bring it together to maximize it and make it function, whether it's like their people, their processes, their tools. Like that's exactly how I had to be thinking at Booz Allen. So translating that into like every component comes together to work really well is the first thing. And the second thing is, like, working in the consulting industry makes you really good at selling the value of something, communicating in a way that translates to value and gets buy-in. And so sometimes I have to go into a session and work with a client and not convince them, but tell them like the why we need to do something. Why do we need to get better at your data or get better at your process or solve a people issue that's been a problem in your organization for so long that you've been avoiding? Like I have to almost get them to buy into the value of doing it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize this, but like during the time, but afterwards, I know that my experience at Booz Allen has made me really good at selling that value, convincing people.
Yeah, no, I hear that phrase thrown around a lot, like getting buy-in. And that's difficult to do, but especially with like a group of entrepreneurs and their leadership teams, getting buy-in from them. So tell me about that. Like, how do you typically get buy-in from a particularly stubborn leadership team?
Yeah. Wow, that's challenging as well. Like every team is a little different, right? And sometimes I have like the owner who's very vocal or like very authoritative. And sometimes they're very quiet and they want to see what their team does, right? So it's kind of changing your style or approach depending on what that team needs. It's reading the body language. It's reading the stuff in the room that maybe is the unspoken, right? Getting everyone to participate equally. Like I also tell my clients, it's a privilege to be here. You got to earn your seat. And part of that is speaking, challenging the status quo, speaking your mind. We want to kind of level set the playing field, but it's challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. When you walk into like a session and you're like working with people, what are typically the first areas that you see within EOS that they're probably dropping the ball on? Like what's the first thing that you notice right away?
Probably the most common thing is people issues, right? People, right seats.
Yeah.
They don't know exactly how to drive accountability. And so right off the bat, there's like a very like easy lift with EOS when you start giving them the right tools to figure out the right structure for the organization, the right people, how to hold them accountable, how to execute well. I would say that's where EOS differs from other systems. It's all about driving that execution. And so helping them in that regard is just an easy lift.
Yeah. Do you feel like your message resonates more with like visionaries or the integrator? Because, those two roles are so different yet complementary. Like you need both.
I would say both.
Yeah.
Both and equally. Like the visionary has frustrations, right? They want to grow more. They see a vision. They don't know how to execute it. Sometimes they're working so hard, not getting enough profit, or they feel like they've hit a ceiling, or their people aren't working as hard as them. Like there's some kind of frustration that makes them attracted to EOS. And then the integrator is more that person that wants to take charge and execute well and achieve the business plan. So it really does speak to both.
Yeah, I feel like the interplay between the visionary and integrator is so important. And my brother and I, we run our business together, and he's visionary, I'm integrator, but we always joke around that we could also swap. Sometimes he feels like the integrator and I feel like the visionary. And we do this thing, culture index. It's like those personality tests, and we've been told that we could both do either role. So we
That's
find
great.
ourselves getting mixed up from time to time.
Well, who's the older brother?
He's the older brother. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he wins on the vision, and I let him. I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. I don't mind going out there and executing. But what are some of the things that you've seen visionaries and integrators do to help improve their relationship?
Sure. There's something in EOS called the same page meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so important that they're on the same page. We call it like when they're lock and step. There's a book called Rocket Fuel, right? Yeah. And that talks about the relationship and the symbiotic kind of like interlocking relationship between the visionary and the integrator. But having a same page meeting, always like kind of taking it offline and just making sure that like they're solving the right issues, they're making the right decisions together, just being on that same page so that the integrator can then execute the vision is so important.
Yeah.
So look it up if if anyone is kind of in those roles, the same page meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother and I used to do the same page meetings, and it would just be an excuse to go to a Dallas Mavericks game. And then we would have fun with that and be like, yeah, we did our same page meeting today.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, when it comes to EOS, what are the components that you're particularly passionate about? I guess if we go off of if let's say we're going off of the level 10 meeting agenda, what part of the meeting agenda is something that you're particularly passionate about?
I'm super, super passionate about two things. One is the traction component, which is driving execution, right? Like I'm more of a natural integrator. So I want to like help people figure out how to get that traction, how to make sure that they're executing their vision, right? So I'm super passionate about that. And we do that with our rocks, with our scorecard, with our to-dos, like all of it. So driving execution, and then probably the data component. And it's one of the reasons that I was really passionate and wanted to write the data book that just got released last April, which you said in our intro here today. But the data component strengthens every single one of the other components. We call it a force multiplier. It fuels the entire EOS system. So it's probably my biggest passion.
Okay. Yeah. And I want to talk more about data, but you had mentioned the book. How did that come about? Where did that come from? And why did you decide to go down that path?
Well, it came about because I find that a lot of my clients find data overwhelming, right? They don't know what to measure. They don't know the story the data is telling them. A lot of times my clients get overwhelmed by financial literacy, right? Like we'll be in the room and we'd be talking about EBITDA and net profit and revenue per employee or efficiency, and like the visionary and the finance person are having these conversations and other people look lost. So I saw the need for that, just to get people stronger at understanding the language of business is really data and money. Mm-hmm. So helping them kind of explain it in a way that takes the overwhelm out of it made me passionate about it. And then when you start kind of seeing the matrix behind EOS, making the connection of how data fuels the rest of it. Like data tells us if we're on track with our vision. It tells us if we have the right people or not. It helps us IDS better. Like it strengthens every single one of those components. And I wanted to kind of bring that connection to the world. So that's kind of how it came about. I raised my hand, talked to Mark O'Donnell, who's the visionary of EOS Worldwide, and just said like, hey, when you guys write the data book, I'm raising my hand. Like I want to do it with you. And that's how it went down.
That's super cool. So that came out this past April.
Yep.
Really exciting. I got to give that a read because data is something I'm particularly passionate about as well. But I have this question for you specifically on the scorecard. What would you recommend is the appropriate number of measurables that should be on a scorecard?
Just 5 to 15.
Man, I thought you were going to say that. I was thinking in my head 5 to 15, and you said 5 to 15. And the reason why I'm laughing is because I find that so difficult. I went to a workshop a couple weeks ago, and they said the same thing. It should be 5 to 15. And that night, I went home and looked at our scorecard, and I think we have like 40-ish numbers on our scorecard. And I started,
Way too much.
yeah, I know. I started
So
freaking out.
what happens is when people have way too much, they're missing the true signals. They have all this noise and they're
Hmm.
missing the true signals. So I want you thinking about it like, hey, if we only got 10, right? It's like a dashboard that tells us as you're driving your car, the check engine light goes on and it goes red. It doesn't tell you what's wrong. It tells you you have a problem. You need to pop the hood and look a little deeper. When you dial in the scorecard, it allows you to see those signals. Something needs attention in your business. And when you have way too much, you're just lost in all that noise. It's not giving you the true signals. And I'm not saying don't keep those measurables somewhere,
Yeah.
but they need to be tracked a little bit further down. Maybe it's a departmental scorecard. Maybe it's down for an employee at a different level. You need that. You need some of that information, just maybe not at the top 10 to 15.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So, for someone like me who loves numbers, where do I put all those other numbers then? I mean, I don't want them to get lost, and I still think they're important. And I definitely agree with your point that it could sometimes be attributed to just noise. So, where else would it go then?
So we have the company level scorecard is the 10 to 15 most important measurables. Then each one of your departments in your business, you probably have sales, you might have operations, you might have finance, you might have technology, like whatever your departments, your departmental scorecards are, some of those numbers might be more applicable at the department level. So think about it like this. Like if weekly revenue is off, right? Weekly revenue might be at the company level scorecard. And what's the biggest driver of weekly revenue? Let's say it's 50 sales calls,
Hmm.
right? So maybe you want 50 sales calls on the leadership team, on the high level one. Well, what's going to give us those sales calls? Maybe it's number of leads. Maybe it's hits to our website. Maybe it's blog posts. Maybe it's how many webinars you did, right? Like podcasts. So think about it like maybe the number of podcasts goes down to the sales or marketing scorecard, and it just kind of flows down that way. So
Yeah,
again, we pop the hood, we look a little deeper. We should be able to see revenue is off or sales calls is off. We look deeper, we go to the marketing and sales scorecard. And so we just got to figure out what needs to be measured and where's the appropriate place.
got it. That makes total sense. So, on these department level scorecards too, should they also have 5 to 15, or do they have kind of
Yes,
more free reign? Or
5 to 15.
okay,
What are the biggest signals they need?
yeah, I'm trying to cheat. I'm trying to see where I can put all 40 of the numbers.
Spread them out, spread the love.
Spread them out across all that. Yeah. Um,
And you
so
know what? Like when you get it right, the scorecard is not a reporting tool. It's a tool that drives discussion, drives action, right? Drives decision making. It's not a reporting tool. And so like if you feel like the need to show like 55 different KPIs, you're treating it as a reporting tool.
mhm. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And I like what you were talking about earlier, like the lead up to certain KPIs. So if we're looking at weekly revenue, what drives that weekly revenue? Sales calls. What drives that sales calls? It's prospective leads generated. Maybe that's coming from blog posts. So each level down informs more and more decision making. But if you're not sure where it is at the top, then it can kind of get out of whack then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should come to my workshop.
Yeah, no, I really should. Okay, so tell me about this workshop. You're leading your workshop in a couple of weeks, correct?
Yes. So my co-author and I, Mark Stanley, and I, after we released the book, we decided that, you know what, so many EOS companies really struggle with the data component. I have to say, like, out of all the EOS tools, Scorecard is probably one of the hardest to get right so that it becomes not that reporting tool, but it's really like more predictive and
Yeah.
insightful to drive that action. And so many of our clients struggle with that. And so many implementers struggle with helping their clients get it right. So we said, why don't we just create this workshop? We're only doing 10 cities in North America this year. We have 6 more workshops between now and the end of November. So only 10 throughout this year. And the workshop is all related to how do we get a really great scorecard, whether you're starting from scratch or doing a scorecard makeover. How do we translate what you said, right? Like that company scorecard down into the department, down so everyone has a number? How do we use this tool? It's an amazing, effective tool. It's called the Getting What You Want tool, showing businesses how to use that effectively. And then the afternoon of our workshop is all spent on increasing cash. So increasing cash flow, profitability, like it's all related to cash in a business. And so though it's a hands-on full day workshop, really geared towards all of that and learning from other EOS run companies.
Okay, cool. And what's the date of that workshop again?
So in Dallas, we have one in Dallas. We have Detroit next Tuesday, October 7th. I believe Dallas is October 21st and Philly, October 22nd. That's what we have going on this month here.
All right, October 21st in Dallas.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the scorecard, the other question that I had was when it's off, when things are kind of all over the place with the scorecard, whose responsibility is that? Is that visionary? Is that integrator? Is that finance? Who's the one that actually digs into it and tries to clean it up?
You're asking me a lot of different things in there. So let me touch on a couple things. One is in every EOS business, someone should own the discipline of the scorecard. Owning the discipline of the scorecard really means, do we still have the right measurables? Are the goals still aligned? Are people filling it out accurately? Have we taken the time to tie it back to our vision or our core processes? Like, are my people dropping it down, IDSing it, solving it when it goes red? Like, that's owning the discipline across the organization. And I get asked this all the time, like, who should own that? Many times it's my integrator. So I would say like 75%, it's probably the integrator. But sometimes the visionary is super passionate about driving that discipline across the organization or the finance person. So I would say someone in the organization needs to own the discipline of the scorecards. But then when you ask me a question like, if one particular measurable is off, there's an owner assigned to each measurable. Let's say it's sales calls this week or number of podcasts we're doing this week, right? I should be able to have an owner where I can go press their belly button, right? Like that is off. It's off. We're not hitting the target or the goal. Who am I responsible? Like, who am I holding responsible to get that back on track? That's the owner of that particular measurable. So it's two things: who owns the discipline of the scorecard for the entire organization, and then who drives the activity of each separate measurable. Two different things.
Mm-hmm. Like, when you're looking at the scorecard and you see the measurable owner, is that the person who actually owns that number on the scorecard, or are they the ones just filling it in?
They are not the person reporting on it. They own the activity. They own leading, managing, and driving that activity to get the result. They are not necessarily the person who reports on it.
Got it. When you said 75% of the time it's on the integrator, I was like, oh, it ain't me in my organization.
Again, so like the discipline is thinking about, are my people filling out the scorecard? Is the data accurate? When was the last time we even looked at the measurables? Does each measurable still provide value? Do we need to change it? Is the goal right? Like making sure that the data component is operating well, that's a discipline.
Yeah. How has, and you've been doing EOS implementation sessions for how many years now?
A little over 6 since 2019.
Okay. How have you seen it evolve from the time you started in 2019 till 2025?
It's amazing. Gino Wickman says that like, hey, these concepts have been around for 100 years, going to be around for 1,000 more, right? Like, there's no magic pill or silver bullet. Like, they are very practical tools. I wouldn't say that it's evolved a ton. I would say like 80% of EOS is tried and true. Like the 20% of every implementation that I do with a client, 80% is tried and true. 20% is how you masterfully apply it to every unique client. And so there might be a little nuance there, but for the most part, they're pretty stable.
Yeah.
So I feel like just in the last 6 years, a lot more people know about EOS than they did, but the tools are pretty similar.
Yeah. So they're very foundational, I wouldn't call it basic, but very so foundational to the core of a company that they probably don't change a whole lot because it's tried and true.
100%. Yeah. Yep. Very foundational. I like to say it's very elegant in its simplicity.
Yeah.
Like that's why it works. Again, it's that 20% of how you masterfully apply it because every business needs a little different, but 80% is tried and true.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just curious, off topic, if you weren't doing EOS, what would you be doing if you could
Oh
choose?
man, I don't know. I don't know if I'd still be at Booz Allen. I don't know if I would have just left and created my own business. I don't know. I think things just fall into your lap when they're meant to be.
Yeah.
It was the best decision I ever made in my life, not only for our family business, but for me personally. I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. And
Yeah.
I feel like I switch off between being an introvert and an extrovert. What's that term? Everyone uses ambivert now. Like I feel like that's overplayed. So I'm an ambivert.
Yeah.
Um, and the thought of going into an all day session with a client, it can be a little overwhelming for me. So I'm curious, how do you work yourself up for that? How do you get pumped up and excited? What's your workflow for that?
So I am also an introvert. I'm an extroverted introvert. So like going to a huge conference with like 1,000 people completely overwhelms me and exhausts me. But like, hey, if I put my head to it and I turn it on when I need to, but it's got to be like a goal. But walking in with a client, it's a smaller group. It's like 5 to 10 people. It's smaller. I would say like I'm not even thinking about the overwhelm of being introverted or extroverted. I am thinking about every single day I'm in a room with a client, I'm there to help them. And we're going to have some kind of breakthrough, or we're going to solve a tough problem, or like I'm going to give them tools that are going to help them unleash something in their business. And that overwhelming need and satisfaction of helping, like I'm an engineer, so I love solving a great problem, right? But like just knowing that what we do truly helps doesn't like it energizes me versus like going to a conference where I feel depleted afterwards.
Yeah, no, I hear you. You mentioned
Yeah.
you're an engineer, so how does that engineering approach, that engineer mind, help you when you're coaching?
So, and I think that ties back to the EOS and every leadership team. I have an engineering undergrad and a master's, and I did systems engineering. And in my mind, every single leadership team is a system. They function as a system. Who does what? What tools do you use? What processes? Like all of that comes together to work like a system. And I think my husband makes fun of me. He just says, like, your engineering brain. Like, I could just kind of see the widgets come together in my mind of what needs to go where. And I think it just makes me be able to help people better.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's like every company, every system, it's like an organism, right? And being able to
Yeah.
take all the moving parts. And I think that's especially where the scorecard comes in, right? If you improve this should go up then.
Yep. Scorecard, their tools, their processes, like all of it.
Yeah. When it comes to the human component, like sometimes leadership teams can get burnt out. So, what are some best practices either before or after a quarterly session to, kind of get everyone on the same page in terms of culture?
Yeah. I would say like we work on smart and healthy. Smart is doing what they do better, right? So less problems, more profit, just whatever product or service that they do, just getting them better at that. So we do that, but we're also trying to get better at having them be a healthier, well running, well oiled kind of leadership team. And part of that is like how they communicate, how they joke around, how we do some team building. And we take breaks in the session. I like to we have a lot of toys in our session. We joke around. It's important to connect on a human level as well, because I find that that helps them go deeper. It helps them maintain like mental stamina to go longer for the day. So it's important, like our entire experience includes that piece of it too. How our desks are set up, what toys do we have in the room, what snacks, like do we play music? Like that entire experience plays a role.
Yeah, I guess creating the vibe for the entire group then.
100%. And part of that is just joking around too.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you got to have fun along the way too.
You have to. You're doing tough work in the room for 8 hours. It's a long day.
Oh yeah. So besides EOS, what do you feel like more businesses and more entrepreneurs should pay attention to, even outside of just the EOS ecosystem?
I would say like in this market that we're in now, like a lot of people are struggling with resources. right? So struggling with resources, down economy, like really making sure that you're as most efficient as possible. You have the right people in the right seats. Like we like to say, the right person is pretty much free, right? So like if you've been reluctant to solve some people issues because you think I just can't afford the right person or whatever, I like to challenge all of my clients to solve at least 1 to 3 people issues every quarter. So really solving those people issues, making sure that you have the right resources that are going to help you get to the next level, and then getting better at their data component. I find like a lot of that's probably the best ways or areas to focus on.
So would that be like the exercise of the get it, want it capacity to do it?
Yep. Core values fit,
Yeah.
get it, want it, capacity to do it, 100%. Defining the expectation, right? Like defining the role, giving them clear measurables that they need to hit. That goes back to the scorecard. So, like, so many companies struggle with the people component
Mm-hmm.
and just getting the right people in the right seats. So, I would say, like, if they can focus on that and then driving data to fuel it all, you're golden.
If they get it and if they want it, but they just don't have the capacity to do it, do you still recommend they keep them in the organization, or are they just not a good fit?
So, we typically start with the core values if they are a good core values fit, right? We see, is there a position in the company on the accountability chart that they do GWC, that they do get, want, have capacity to do? And if they do, great. We recommend moving them over to that if there's a need there. We don't just make up a seat for them, but if
Yeah.
there's a need, we recommend, yes, keep them. If there is not a need, then we have to ask ourselves, do we believe that they can get to a yes in capacity? Is it they just need a little bit more experience or training? Can we coach them up to it? If we really don't believe that they're the right person, they don't have that tool set, then we say like release them to industry.
Release them to industry. Yeah, I hear what you say on making up the role, because that's something I've done a lot in my past, right? Where we go through someone and they're a great person, but just not quite hitting the role that we had intended for them to hit. And you kind of make up a role along the way, and I think that can sometimes make things worse, actually.
Yep, 100%. You got to do structure first, people second. So we shouldn't be defining our structure based on someone's, strengths or weaknesses or just shoving them different places and making up a role that is really going to hurt your business long term. So you always got to figure out the right structure. Then you put the right people in the right seats.
Okay. I gotta ask one question about AI, because everyone loves to talk about AI. So from the beginning of our podcast too, it's evolved a lot even during that time. And I wouldn't say everyone knows where it's heading yet, but what are you seeing? What are you hearing in the conversations in all these boardrooms and meeting rooms about AI and how companies can best leverage it?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I would say like almost every single one of my clients, it's a topic for every session, right? Like, how are we automating? How are we getting more efficient? How are we like being able to keep the employee count that we have, but do more work, right? Through the
Mhm.
use of AI. So every single one of them is thinking about those type of things. They're not all doing, to be quite honest, like they're not all doing the best job at implementing it or coming up with a roadmap or even figuring it out, but they're all talking about it. It's on everyone's mind.
Yeah, interesting. The way that we're seeing it best utilized right now is automating like very specific process flows within like an entire workflow. Um,
Hmm.
so instead of someone working on something for, let's say, 5 hours a week, maybe even 10 hours a week, we create like a custom AI agent to just automate that
Yep.
specific piece. But it's so unique and it's so niche, just our particular company. That's why I see a lot of like off the box tools.
Mhm.
And I don't see them working right now. I feel like it's so specific to each company.
Yep. But you know what? The other thing I've seen is the AI market is evolving so quickly.
Yeah.
Even like the tools that were in place 3 months ago are at a whole nother level, or there's 5 or 10 more new ones, right? Just in the last 3 months or 6 months or whatever. It evolves so quickly
Yeah.
that it's a challenge for people to kind of stay on top of what new tools or what new capabilities do they have.
Yeah.
But every single one of my clients is thinking about AI.
Yeah, for sure. And I think first things first, now everyone's better have great written emails now. I mean, there's no point to having emails that are written with poor grammar. You can easily just throw
Yep.
that in the chat GPT and get that coming out looking good.
Yep. I
Okay.
use it.
Yeah, yeah, all the time. I think it's great. I want to end with some rapid fire questions. If that's okay.
Okay.
All right. Favorite book?
Ooh.
And you can't say Traction.
Um, when I was 16, I had someone in our family business. My parents had restaurants, and I gave me a couple books, one of which was Think and Grow Rich, or How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I've read so many business books, kind of like along my career. I'm not that young, but I would say like it was kind of a formidable age for me. And it kind of got my brain thinking about how to think more like an entrepreneur. So those are two of my favorites. I'm making my children read them now.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Those are two books that really stand out to me. It's so funny that you talked about both of those.
Yeah.
Both excellent books. You travel a lot for work, it seems sometimes. So favorite city that you love stopping into?
Oh my goodness. That's hard. I travel a lot. I go to Boston, I go to Nashville, I go to Paris, Detroit, where EOS all started. There's a ton. I cannot pick one. If I had the choice, I would work in Paris, but I don't.
I was just going to say Paris. That sounds amazing. Yeah. I would say Paris.
Yeah.
All right. Paris is very cool. And then favorite movie or TV show?
The Handmaid's Tale, one of my clients. Okay. One of my clients, we were in a session. They run an HVAC company. They're a wonderful client. Jen, if you hear this podcast, thinking of you. So she told me, you better watch the show. And if you don't like it, we can't even work together anymore. And I was like, wow, that's a really strong reaction. And then I started watching it. And I guess it kind of like pulled at my heartstrings about like women's rights and I'm a total feminist, and just being able to like operate well in an engineering world where it's male dominated. It really connected. It's probably one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've heard a lot.
Strong reaction.
Yeah. I've never heard of Handmaid. I mean, I've heard of it, of course. I've never watched it, but I always get the same reaction. People love that show.
Yeah. I'm like a serious kind of like CIA espionage, like save the world. So those are just kind of the shows that I like. But Handmaid's Tale is probably one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Wow. Okay. I got to check that out then. I'll add it to my TV show list.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate it. Before we sign off, any final takeaways that you want to leave everyone with?
So I would love if you guys read the data book, get better at your data component if you're running on EOS, or just helping your business run better, even if you're not on EOS. And if you have the opportunity to check out our website and come to one of our workshops, we'd love to see you across the country this year.
All right. Angela, thank you so much for joining today. Really appreciate you.
All right. Nice meeting you. Take care.
Nice meeting you as well.